Hi, this is John from whatifi, and in this video I'm going to cover the basics of our UI and how to create your first scenario. Note that this is a temporary video as we are rapidly evolving our UI as I record this, and there are likely going to be changes and iterations that have already occurred by the time you watch this video. So let's kind of get started. whatifi is designed for creating what-if scenarios in a decision tree-like format. First, I'm going to cover some basics of our UI. You have these menus on the left, the bottom, and the right-hand side here that expose key parts of the interface. This very first icon is where we're actually going to create our new scenario, and I'm going to come back to this in a moment. But otherwise, we have the ability to open up this left side panel in here. Here is where you'll have a list of all of the scenarios that are available to you under the list mode. And once you start creating scenarios, you'll see this in a My Scenarios section here. If the scenario has been shared with you by someone else, you may be seeing a scenario showing up here in your Shared With Me section here. Info gives us more information about the scenario that's actually currently open, and you'll be able to edit that or delete that here if you need to. And our comments section is not yet live, but eventually you'll be able to see some comments that are here as well. So you have the list mode, the info mode, and the comments section. In your list mode, you can open up your scenarios and get to any existing scenario, and then click on that to expose that here in the model. On the right-hand side is our thread list manager here. And ideally, you will be watching this video from our docs section while we have a list of docs that are in here. There's the details section. Currently, this is not active. Hopefully, it will be by the time you are there, so that anytime you click on an event in the model, this will update to show you some of the information that's in this. So again, this section is not yet live. But threads is going to be one of your key areas here, and this is where you have the ability to select and see individual calculation paths. We call them threads in our model to be able to display those. By displaying those, I'm talking about our bottom menu here, which is your graph. So if I click on scenario thread number 1, it shows which path is highlighted, and I am showing this data here on the current graph. If I select scenario thread number 2, I'm now showing this one, and I'm seeing those paths. And you can also either check select both of these for them to display concurrently. So both are displaying here at the same time. Some of the data is overlapping. Or I can use this select all threads to achieve the same goal. By default, we are displaying monthly data here currently. We can also display weekly data or quarterly data here in our graph. And you can also turn this information from monthly into cumulative data. So you'll be able to see both of those graphs playing out over time and seeing what those calculations look like over time. A lot of this UI will be updating by the time you take a look at this, but the core concepts are still the same. Okay? One other key thing in this particular view is the ledger data. Now, by ledger data, we keep track of a lot of different information, and depending on which events you add to the canvas, and I will get more detailed in the next video on those events, we generate different types of data. Here in this particular event, I am generating income and cash calculations. So as a result, if I want to be able to display some of that information, we by default display cash flow, calculated equity, and profit, but you can also select this other ledgers option, and we'll bring up this ledgers selector that allows you to see what other information is available to you. Because we're calculating income, I'm able to look at this income level of information, and I can select this to promote it to be displayable. When I select the Add button here now, you now see there's one more layer of information here, and I can in theory select that income ledger now, and for example, I'm going to turn off cumulative, and if I'm in each of these, I can look at my income in scenario 1 and my income in scenario 2. Now you'll notice it looks very similar to our cash flow right now because they are basically the same calculation. But as we get more expenses and other events added to this one, you will see a difference between cash flow and individual information here. Now let's cover very quickly how to create a new scenario. All right. If you want to create a scenario from scratch, you come up to the Add New Scenario button here, and you select that one, and you select New Scenario. And this is where you're going to create your scenario. So let's call this New Scenario 1. You can give it a subtitle. It's not necessarily required. You can give it a scenario range. If you're in one of our free accounts, you will see that some of these things are limited, and you will be limited to a 1-year model here. Okay? And you need to pick the scenario start date. You can have it always being the current date. You can always have it the start of the current month. And I personally like to actually explicitly set the date. So I'm going to set the date to be July 1st here. And then you click Add. And that's going to create a new scenario here, right, which is going to be added to your model. And you're going to have a root node here. And this is really the start of your scenario building journey. And I'm going to cover this in our next video.